So, about that helmet video I made earlier, I've got to clear a few things up. Some of the information in that video wasn't fully accurate, and it's not because of guesswork. It's because Arena Breakout's armor system has quietly changed over multiple seasons. Recently, I reviewed an older but very accurate breakdown from another creator, and compared it with the latest in-game data. And that's when the confusion made sense. For example, Polytechnic material has been completely removed, and all helmets that used to be Polytechnic are now classified as Aluminium. Plus, hardened steel is currently the strongest armor material in the game, but it's only available in very limited options. In this video, we'll go over all those changes properly. What's outdated, what's new, and how these materials actually affect protection, mobility, and repair durability in the current season. Alright, let me quickly explain what we're covering in this video. First, I'll show you which helmet materials are the best right now in the current season, and then I'll recommend the best helmets for each playstyle and explain why they're the top picks. Next, I'll give a deeper look at Rico Cheat, what it is, how it works, and how to spot it. I'll also do direct helmet comparisons so you can see the stats side by side, and I'll use comments from the previous video to answer the most common questions you left there. Finally, a quick heads up. The devs change materials sometimes, so if you're watching this after a few seasons, double-check the in-game material labels before you spend your Koen. Let's jump in. Alright, before we get into which helmets are the best this season, let's first look at the materials, because that's what actually decides how strong a helmet really is. According to the official in-game data, there are 6 active materials right now. Hardened steel. This gives the best bulletproof protection in the game, but it comes with a trade-off. It reduces your movement and ADS speed. You'll usually see it only on a few top-tier helmets. Aluminum offers good protection but also slows you down a bit. Most older helmets that used to be Polytechnic are now converted to aluminum in the current season, which is why some stats changed compared to older guides. Ceramic, a balanced option. It gives good bulletproof performance with almost no penalty to movement or ADS speed, so it's great for medium weight players. Titanium, one of the best all-round materials. It offers strong protection, barely loses durability after repair, and stays light. This is often the best mix of strength and mobility. Composite material has slightly lower protection than titanium, but it's extremely durable and keeps most of its strength even after multiple repairs. Good for players who use the same helmet for many raids. Aramid, lightweight, flexible, and still decently protective. It offers average bulletproof performance, but like composite, it's very durable and barely loses durability after repair. So in simple terms, hardened steel wins in raw protection, titanium is the most balanced, and composite or aramid are the most durable and cost-efficient options for long-term use. Now, before we move forward, there's one big correction from my last video. In that video, I mentioned Polytechnic material helmets, but that's no longer accurate. As of the current season, Polytechnic material has been completely removed from the game. All those helmets that used to be Polytechnic, like the IND-70, are now made of aluminum instead. So yes, IND-70 is now an aluminum helmet, not Polytechnic anymore. And just to clear up one more thing, even though IND-70 is aluminum, RST is still the better helmet overall. I'll explain exactly why later in this video when we get into direct helmet comparisons. Alright, let's address this comment because it's actually a really good one. And this is where a lot of confusion comes from. So yes, you're right that hardened steel tanks more bullets than any other material. That's true because the material always comes first. But after the material, there's another factor that matters a lot. And that's the helmet's structural strength. You can think of it like this. Material decides how strong the armor itself is. Structure decides how well that strength is applied. Some helmets have great materials but weaker structure, meaning they don't perform as well as they should on paper. A good example is IND-70 versus RST. Both are made of aluminum material in the current season, but the structure strength is different. IND-70 has low structural strength. RST has medium structural strength. That's why RST ends up performing better in direct fights. it can take slightly more damage before breaking. However, there's a catch. RST also blocks more sound, which means you'll have a harder time hearing footsteps. That can be a big disadvantage for tactical players. So here's how you can decide. If you're a rusher or PvP player, go for RST. Better protection, faster reaction fights. But if you're a tactical or stealth player, IND70 might still suit you better because it allows you to wear headphones and hear footsteps clearly, especially in maps like Northridge or Farm. So, in short, material decides base strength, structure defines performance, and your playstyle decides what's best for you. Alright, now let's talk about the strongest T6 helmets in the game this season. And believe it or not, the title of the strongest helmet right now actually goes to the 6BNT. Why? It's simple. The material is hardened steel, which, as I mentioned earlier, gives the best bulletproof performance in Arena Breakout. On top of that, it has medium structural strength, which makes it even tougher compared to other T6 helmets. Now, there are some debuffs that come with it. -4 speed, meaning your running speed is reduced. -8 ergonomics, meaning your ADS speed or scope time slows down slightly. I'll skip mentioning these debuffs for the next helmets, since they don't change much depending on playstyle, but you should always keep them in mind if you like fast movement. That said, even though 6BNT is technically the strongest helmet, I personally don't recommend it. And here's why. It doesn't have a face shield, which is a huge drawback in higher-tier PvP. A strong material alone can't protect you from frontal headshots or explosive damage if your face is exposed. So, while it's definitely the strongest in terms of pure stats, it's not the most practical choice for most players. Now, it's not just the T6 helmets that use hardened steel. There are also a few T5 helmets that come with the same material. For example, the SH40, and one or two others which I'll show you in the video. Normally, I don't recommend spending too much on T5 helmets, since the protection difference between T5 and T6 can be pretty big. But this one is actually worth trying. The main reason is that it's cheap, and being made of hardened steel, it gives very strong bulletproof performance for the price. Just keep in mind, like most hardened steel helmets, it also blocks sound, which means you'll struggle to hear sneak footsteps or enemies moving nearby. So while it's tough, it's not ideal for players who rely on sound awareness or tactical movement. But if you're the type who pushes aggressively and prefers raw protection, this helmet can definitely be a budget beast. Next is Aluminium, which I already explained through the IND70 and RST comparison. And as I said, RST wins overall because of its stronger structure and material strength. Now, moving on to ceramic and titanium. There aren't really any good helmets made from ceramic right now, so let's talk about titanium instead. The AS200T6 helmet is made of titanium material. It has medium structure strength, comes with a -7 movement speed penalty, and most importantly, no ergonomic penalty, which might make it a decent pick for snipers. Basically, you don't lose ADS stability or handling, so if your playstyle involves holding ADS a bit longer, this T6 can work for you. However, don't expect it to protect you like IND70 or RST. Personally, I've got a bit of trust issues with this helmet, so I'd say use it with caution. Now let's talk about T4 helmets. There haven't been any changes this season. The KSS helmet, green, still remains the best T4 helmet in the game. It gives a solid balance of protection and movement, and compared to other T4 options, it's still the most reliable pick if you're running budget or mid-tier gear. Starting with Aramid, honestly, it's the lowest quality material in the game. Even a dum-dum round can go straight through it, so I don't think I even need to explain much here. You could probably throw a stone at that helmet and it would break. Next is Composite. Yeah, it looks good on paper. Balanced this. Lightweight that. But honestly, don't waste your Koen on this one. It's trash. Absolute trash. For example, the IND50 tactical helmet. It's terrible in terms of protection, but it only has -1 movement speed and -1 ergonomics, which makes it actually the best helmet to use with a thermal scope. So, in simple words, if you're not using thermal, don't invest your Koen on this trash. There are much better helmets available at the same or even cheaper price. Now, let me pick some helmets based on playstyles because remember, Suggestions should never be based on how much Koen you have in storage. It's always about your playstyle. So, for snipers, in the T4 category, I'd say the KSS helmet is the best choice. It doesn't reduce ergonomics, and overall, it's the most reliable helmet if you're not running T6 gear. I'll be honest, I never recommend spending on T5 helmets. In simple words, if it's not T6 and you're going into Forbidden Zone, where people mostly use T5 ammo, then any helmet below T6 is basically useless. If you just want minor protection and maybe some chance of a ricochet, then you can use the KSS helmet or even a level 1 safety helmet. They're cheap and still give you that little bit of luck with the Rico Cheat.